How we doing today, guys? We got a new video for you today in the Ultimate Rod series. It is middle of summer. It is hot here today in Evansville, Indiana. We've got heat indexes over 100 degrees. That means the fun post-spawn offshore bite is slowing down a little bit. You kind of got to grind for them. So we thought, why not go over a little old school technique that is still effective? We're talking getting on some points, getting on some ledges, and dragging the big worm around. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do your ultimate rod for big worms, offshore, off points, deep banks, any of the summertime stuff. We're gonna tell you what you need to be getting in a good rod for that presentation. And so we've got 3 rods in front of us. As a refresher, the price points are the ultimate rod under $150, under $300, and I don't care what it costs, just give me the best. Those are the 3 criteria that we are aiming for as far as price point goes. The criteria for what we want in a big worm rod. First of all, when we say a big worm rod, we are talking about deeper water applications. You can absolutely throw this in shallower water. There would be some slight changes based on the rod selection there, just based on a lighter weight. So we're talking weights of 3/8, half, even up to 3/4 of an ounce weight on these big worm setups. We're talking big worms. I'm talking 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch worms. My favorite, the 10-inch power worm, the tried and true, the classic. It's a good one. So what I'm looking for in a big worm rod, I would prefer it be 7.5 or longer, 7.6 or longer, somewhere in that range. That aids in 2 different things. 1, casting distance, and 2, you're fishing in deep water. You've got a lot of line out typically. You're making big, long casts. That extra length really helps when you're setting the hook and when you're fighting the fish. I think that makes a big difference. So I really like the longer-ish rods. If you want to use a 7.2 rod, will that work? Yep, absolutely, 100% it will. But given the option, if we're talking the ultimate rod, I want 7.5 or longer. As far as power goes, I want either a medium heavy or a heavy. Now, the reason that there is some flexibility is that depending on the manufacturer, you can have a medium heavy that feels stiffer than a heavy in a different manufacturer. So it is one of those things that it is on the cusp to me of whether I prefer a medium heavy or a heavy. So it becomes brand specific or even just series specific, whether we're chasing a medium heavy or a heavy. I want that rod to have some tip to it. I'm not looking for, something that feels like a pool cue here. It needs to have a little bit of tip. I want it to be able to load up and really make a long cast, but it's got to have the backbone. Now, we don't need a crazy amount of backbone here. We are looking for something that has, I hesitate always to say parabolic because we do not want parabolic, but I want it to have a true, bend profile that is just consistent and smooth. And as long as we achieve that with the length criteria, with a fast action preferably, or even an extra fast action, we want that medium heavy, heavy power, and we're golden. We've got what we want. So that's enough me rambling. We're gonna get into the rods. Under 150, the rod we have selected is a 6 cents Lux, which comes in at $149.99. It is a 7'5" heavy with a fast action. So this rod is an excellent big worm rod. Fits all of the criteria we just discussed. 7.5, check. Heavy, check. Fast action, check. All 3 of those are excellent characteristics. A few other things that I will mention. The rod for a $150 rod is fairly lightweight in hand. It is fairly well balanced. It does feature some micro guides, which does help with that. We've got good Fuji components here. And then the butt section is of, perfect length, basically. I want it to be substantial enough that I've got something that if I'm gonna go with a dragging approach, I can tuck it underneath my shoulder. If I'm gonna go with a, kind of a hopping approach, it's not so long that it becomes cumbersome back here. So a good, somewhat long I guess longer than average butt section without being cumbersome is what we want, and this is what this Lux rod has. So when you factor in, like I said, the components are excellent, the blank feels good. Another important factor here is sensitivity. This rod is not going to blow you away with sensitivity, but if you're using a fluorocarbon line, which you probably should be, and if you're using a tungsten weight, which you definitely should be, then you're going to be able to feel every bite that you need to feel, and you're most importantly going to be able to feel that transition from a mud bottom to a rock bottom, or when you hit a stump or any of those type of things. You need to be able to feel that, and you will be able to with this 6th Sense rod. So that is what we've got in the under $150 price point. So now we need an under $300 rod, and I'm going to cheat big time on this one. But I love the rod so much I had to find a way to fit it into this video, so we're going to do it. Dobyns rods. We sell them from time to time at 20% off. We've been known to do this. So I'm going to put a Champion Extreme rod that sells for $349 at retail into this category, knowing that, hey, if you're patient and you bide your time, you can get 20% off. Or if you just want to call us, we can give you 20% off. So I've got the DX 784C. So this is a long one. This is a 7'8" rod. And I have always loved this rod. This has always, full disclosure, been my favorite big worm rod. Even when I have been using other rods for it, this has always been the one that I just keep coming back to because it has the perfect amount of tip, the perfect amount of backbone. It is very lightweight. For a 7'8" rod, it is absurdly light. It has an absurd amount of balance to it for a 7'8" rod that is technically considered to be a heavy action rod. So it's just impressive all the way around. Good Fuji components. You know the Dobyns rods are a quality product. You know the sensitivity is going to be on point. And it just fits every single characteristic that I need in a big worm presentation. The tip is just perfect. Loads up great to make super long casts. The 7'8" length also helps with that added distance. And then you get into just this nice, perfect backbone that's not too stiff. It's not too soft. It is the most majestic blank for throwing a big worm. So that's why I had to fit this rod in here. And the other thing, this is a preference deal, but I still enjoy the full handles. So full cork, that's just a perfect length. Feels good in your hand. It is very comfortable rod to fish. Like I said, the balance is very nice. So if we get into that kind of lift and drop presentation or a little bit of a hop, it is very easy on your wrist, very easy on your arm. It just excellent, excellent rod. If I had one rod to choose and I was factoring price into the equation, so accounting for the cost, it would be this model right here. So that's why we had to fit this one in. Yeah, I cheated, but it is what it is. All right, now for the I don't care what it costs, just give me the best category, we've got another one that has just always been an excellent, excellent option through all the different iterations of the Steez rods. They have had this bottom contact rod, which is a Steez AGS 7.5, and it is a medium heavy. So I mentioned in the intro how it's right on the cusp of a medium heavy or a heavy that I prefer. Well, this is a medium heavy, so that's pretty much perfect. Action is fantastic. It's an AGS rod, so a Steez AGS rod, so you know the sensitivity is going to be fantastic. The Steez AGS, or I'm sorry, the AGS guides are an excellent choice. They're of premium quality. The one thing I will mention there, we tend to see some rings fall out of the middle of these guides, so you do need to be a little more careful. The frames are super durable, which is amazing, but the inserts do seem to have some issues there. So we just make sure to put the sleeve it comes with over the top. Don't step on them. All that good stuff that you should already be doing. So and if you do those things, you won't have any issues. But I do like to mention that. As far as the rod itself, 7.5. Perfect. Medium heavy, ideal. Couldn't script it any better myself. Handle length, excellent. I even like that it's got this hook keeper down below. one of the things when you're fishing a big worm that you will, everybody that's done this a lot will notice whenever you're hopping that thing along, if you have a hook keeper on the underside or on the front side of the rod, the line will get caught underneath that, and it just drives me nuts. So you got the hook keeper down below here. I really like that. Subtle thing, but I do really like it. It just makes the fishability that much better. And just again, action-wise, it's exactly what we want. A tip that'll load up and make a very long bomb cast. And then you can, whether you're swimming it, hopping it, dragging it, the backbone is just right. Whenever you're going to get a bite, you feel that fish, you reel down your tension and set the hook. You've got the right amount of tip with the right amount of backbone that you're not going to be blowing a big hole in their mouth, but you're going to have enough control to pull that fish out of 20 or 25 feet of water if you need to, play it back to the boat and get that fish in. So I think this rod, I mentioned that the Dobyns was the rod factoring price in. If we're not factoring price in at all, money's no object, and you just say, hey, I want the best big worm rod I can get. This is the rod that I'm buying. It should also be noted that this was a tough decision between this Steez rod and an NRX Plus 894 jig and worm rod from a G Loomis product, of course. So I really like that rod too. Ultimately just decided to go with the Steez, just because I think the action is just a little bit better, and the 894 is a little bit stiffer. It's on the stiffer side of what I really like for a big worm. So we gave the nod to the Steez, but that NRX Plus is awesome too. So anyway, this is what we've got. We've got 3 awesome options for throwing the big worm. The old school technique, it doesn't get done enough anymore because, there's more modern, sexier techniques that people want to chase around, but that big worm, don't sleep on it. It is still wildly effective, and it will catch some big summertime fish. And it's hot enough that it's making me just want to go do it. You feel like when you're throwing a big worm that you just need to be on the front deck sweating your absolute ass off. And so I think I might do that sometime soon. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe below. We're going to keep cranking out these ultimate rod videos. What did we get wrong? What did we get right? Tell us what models you would be recommending, and we'll see you guys next time.